Well, I'm Michael N. Schulman, but I go by Max. And the little known fact is that that's because there was a writer in the 50s who was a comedy writer, and among other projects, he had one called The Secret Life of Dobie Gillis, which was a big TV show in the 50s and launched Bob Denver. I have written 1.5, but they're in a trilogy. So I have co-authored one, written one, and then published a third, so that we have a series called Treasures of the Trails. Well, I really had a wonderful 4th grade teacher, and I started writing poetry then. Not very good, but it's always been a personal poet style of writing for people. And because of the career that I had in the military and in the intelligence community, I didn't do a lot of publishing, although I always spent a lot of time on family letter writing. Lost art, but modeled by Theodore Roosevelt, a wonderful way to keep the English language in its written form alive. But I got very serious once I retired after my 40 years with the DoD and came back here. I started hiking, and I almost immediately started working on the first book, the hiking, biking, and birding trails of Citrus County. The first book took just a little over 3 years, and it was considerable research trying to find the many names of roads in areas, and especially to find where trailheads really are. Also, I like to do, I'm very big on sustainable ecotourism, and I think it should be the biggest project this county has. And the part that I think we are most lacking in is telling the culture and history of our county. So I've done a lot of research on the turpentine industry, the phosphate industry, the lumber industry, and how they affect our trails. And they affect our paddling trails and our hiking trails tremendously. So I've tried to incorporate that. Additionally, we did a lot of technical research based on mapping and cartography, so that we used GPS that we did by hand, GPS off the county pedestal, products that were produced by the park system or the owners of property, and then resolution layers that we would do with several people that had either walked or paddled that area. Well, I have many spaces, but the lanai of my second floor condo looks out on some old oak trees, and like most of the things around here, lots of Spanish moss, great fog in the morning sometimes, and it's easy to get into the mood to write Florida stuff when you're looking out at beautiful examples. I have on a regular basis, though, carried my tablet with me and parked along the way, sometimes just to relax, certainly to savor some of the what I consider sacred spaces, but high energy spaces and most beautiful spaces in this county, to try to capture them both photographically, but especially in words that are true and in words that are clear, and at the same time that do justice to the beauty of this county. You can't want to be an outdoor writer and not think Ernest Hemingway is one of the best things that ever happened. But I also like Paul Thoreau. He wrote a lot of rail books that I enjoyed, and Walt Whitman, Robert Frost, those folks that have offered up that let's take a minute and think about the beauty and let's see what we can get out of it to make ourselves better people. I think it's the first time that I actually got to make a presentation here. I say this in speeches all the time. The library is a tremendous resource for anybody that's writing in Citrus County, and for me it's been the greatest resource, in no small way because this program that you run gives us a chance to reach out across the county in the different locations, gives us a chance to speak to audiences of 5 to 30, which are sized so that you can really talk, you can really afterwards swap cards and sometimes agree to go hiking or paddling together, and especially to touch folks, frequently the second and third generation residents, when we talk about things like the turpentining in the central part of the citrus tract of the state forest, and you tell them some of the history. Paddling, when you look at the spoils that were taken to put the Florida barge canal in, that were dumped into islands off, and they're named for residents, families of Citrus County. When you tell folks that, you'll actually sometimes find folks who say, that's my name and I didn't know that. So that's a wonderful feeling. Well, I personally think we're going to see bookstores come back, because there's something about a physical place. There's an electric energy from books, just like there is from trees and springs and grass. I think y'all have done a wonderful job of balancing the digital with the physical and keeping alive the tradition of book clubs and book meetings. And I don't think people want that to go away. I think we're hitting saturation on technology. There are more and more folks realizing the stress that is caused by living with a phone, the stress that's caused by everything being digital, and starting to appreciate physical manifestations, whether it's meeting somebody and getting a hug or reading a passage to someone when the book is in your hand. And I think you'll keep that alive, and I think there's a whole bunch of folks that will support you as you do it. Hope so. I had the opportunity to talk with one of our county's newest authors. She's just about to unveil her book at a coffee shop here in a week, and I told her, for me, the most important thing is come out to the Central Library and find out about the program, see where you can fit in things like the Authors Fair, but more important, giving talks, and also find out ways to get your book into the library and share with the county what you got. So I don't say that lightly. I've had great support from the County Tourism Bureau. I've had great support from, and I say Matt Clemens, Gary Rankin, and especially, besides Gary Rankel, Tom Craig, who worked on this trilogy. It was 4 of us together. But we all love the library, and we all know the books wouldn't sell if it weren't for the support that we get from several parts of the county, but especially from the library.